right, so we're back. I have shaded really hard on the back of my paper. You will probably have to do the entire back. Mine just went to right here because I have a lot of water. A really easy, quick tip to share with you is if you hold this up to the light, and you can't see it on this video, but if you hold this up to the light, you can see all the pieces and parts that you still need to fill in. So make sure that your back of your transfer paper is very well shaded in. There shouldn't be a whole lot of white gaps in there. If you see them, make sure you fill them in. But for this tutorial, we're just gonna pretend like this is all super filled in. What we're gonna do next is I'm gonna grab my beautiful white drawing paper and I'm gonna sit this down. And then I'm gonna take my transfer paper and I usually line mine up to the top. So line each paper to the top. And I just want little baby pieces of tape. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tape a little bit on each side. Just like that. On that side. If you feel more comfortable, you can put a third one in there. And I usually tape the top, but sometimes also I tape one side just in case. So I'm gonna tape one of the sides. This just gives me a little more stability. And I use little tiny pieces of tape just because it's easier to peel off than a big piece of tape. So, just like that. We don't want to tape all of the sides because obviously you won't be able to see. And you want to tape the side that you want to kind of be able to peek at. I taped down the top and the side, but I realized there's some water there and I'm not gonna really be able to see what I'm doing. So if for some reason you made a mistake or you don't like how you tape something, if you use tiny pieces of tape, you can just gently peel them off. That's the upside to it. And you can just gently peel off the tape. And just do a different side. So I'm gonna tape this side down. Again, I lined things up at the top, just like that. I'm gonna remove the tape on this side. And if you don't feel confident taping it by yourself for the first time, I am more than happy to tape it for you. So this is looking much better already. So I tape the top and one of the sides just so that I can lift it up and see what I'm doing. So transferring is really easy once you get the hang of it. If you are starting and doing this for the first time, you're gonna need a red pen, but any colored pen will do. And you wanna start on the edge because if you mess up, it's real steps. If they're on the edge, we can kind of crop it down. So you wanna be extra accurate when you're doing this assignment. Really take your time to keep your lines nice and straight. So for this one here, I'm just going through and outlining the shapes. I'm not pushing down hard because if I push down hard, I am going to create what is called ghost lines, and those are lines that are divots in your paper. When you shade over them, it's gonna create what is called this like ghost line effect. So those are really hard to fill in, especially if you're trying to fill in something light. So I just did a couple shapes here on the corner. When I lift it up, you should be able to barely see it. If you can't see it at all, use a little more pressure. If you can see it perfectly, great. But you do want to run your finger over it, and I usually close my eyes when I do this. If you can feel the divots, that means you went way too hard. If you can't, that's great. You don't have any ghost lines. So I would start, if you're a beginner, start at the edges, take your time, make sure that you are trying to accurately draw each shape, because the more accurate you are, the easier this project is going to be for you. So take your time outlining each and every shape, and you just want to push down enough to where you barely see it. And when you are finished with this whole thing, I'll check it, and then we'll take this off so that you can shade it. So that is just the quick transfer process. Again, make sure when you are transferring to not press hard. Do not press hard, do not press hard. Otherwise, you might have to redo this whole project. You just want to press just enough to see your shapes, okay? So if you have any questions on the transfer process, feel free to email me.